Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the 326th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by ATEBIT.net and those sexy legends over at Audio Technica. Go upgrade your audio game today over at audiotechnica.com. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan8bit. And joining me here, my podcast, Ride or Die, the Tears to My Kingdom. You can find her on them socials at Miss Ellie Hart. Miss Ellie Hart, how the bloody hell are ya?
Doing okay. I think we're team low sleep.
We are team low sleep, team no sleep. It's been it's been a very uneven Friday night evening of sleep for me. I've just come back from a few days in Radelaide, the murder capital of Australia, but it's a good time down there. Yeah. More murders per populace than any other city or town in Australia. So lots of killers in and around Adelaide, but it doesn't make the city any less nice. I did nearly see a punch up in the KFC that I was in on Thursday night, which was a time, but
that's just Western Sydney.
Yeah. There was a bit of a jostle over who gets the last wicked wing, I think, but no blood was shed, but Dirty Bird was consumed, and that is a great way to end an evening after a night on the gins. But yes, we are here for the 326th time doing that THG thing. I guess we can start things off by talking about what we've been doing this week. Full spoilers, I haven't played a single lick of a video game this week. I've watched some things. Just super quick, I've watched the first 3 episodes of Silo, which is the new show on Apple TV Plus, which I am really digging. Created by Graham Yost, who is a man of many talents. Most notably, he did Justified, which I adore. But the show itself is based on the Wool series of novels by Hugh Howey. So it's really cool, post-apocalyptic dystopian type of vibe. It's got some Fallout-y elements where there's people living underground in this silo and the mysteries around why people are in there, why aren't people outside, why is outside dangerous and life-threatening, etc., etc. But it's really, really fun, really enjoyable, and there's a lot of question marks, like, what's the origins of this? What's going to happen? How can we ultimately get outside and live a free life and da-da-da? But really good 3 episodes available on Apple TV Plus. Check it out. And just, I've been really vibing Ted Lasso lately. This latest season, last couple of episodes have been really hitting me in the feels and getting me very moved emotionally. So still digging Ted Lasso. Have you been watching this latest season, Miss Hart?
No, I still didn't finish. I think, was it the 2nd season or the 3rd season? There was a weird little vibe that I was getting from the show that I'm just like, you know what, not caring. But I'm not too sure what it was. So maybe I'll get around to it. But yeah, it's not on my to-watch list. It's
very, very sweet, very, very heartwarming at times and very real and raw. And it's just what I needed after a week away in Adelaide to watch Ted Lasso and that big old mustache share life lessons to a bunch of football players. So that was a good time, but that's all I've been really doing. Miss Hart, what have you been doing this week?
Fortunately, I've been inundated with an assignment, so the free time was far and few between. However, got to actually set some time aside to play a little bit of Animal Crossing, which is kind of random, but a few group of friends were kind of discussing about how they hadn't been back to their island for some time, and we decided just to do a little island visit on everyone's island, and it was nice. It was like everyone eventually just stayed on my little island because it was actually a little more put together and such, but it was just really, really fun, and it was really cool, giving them gifts and cooking them meals and then showing them around. And then I was lucky enough that one of my villagers that has been lingering for a lot also kind of came up to me and said, I'm thinking about leaving. I'm like, good, go, get out of here.
You wanted them gone? You had enough?
Yeah. So my goal is to have a whole hamster island. And oh my goodness, I don't even want to admit how much time I spent and how much Nook miles I spent on tickets to island hop so I could fill the space with another hamster. But I got there. I've got Flurry now. So yeah, just 2 more to go for Hamster Island.
Damn. I love that. So how many, because it's been a long while since I've jumped in Animal Crossing. What's the maximum amount of villages you can have? So how many hamsters are you going to have?
So unfortunately in the game there's only 9. And on your island you have 10 houses, I believe.
Yep.
So there's going to be just some wild card in there. So but yeah, so 9 in total hamsters available, so I've just got to get 2 more.
So you've got 7 hamsters on the island right now.
Yeah,
running
it's
around.
so great. I just love the way that they're all designed and these cute little tiny chubby characters just walking around my island and their own wacky personalities. And one of them that just looks like my husband, so it's great.
Doesn't make him any less adorable in game form or in real life. It's fantastic.
Super adorable in both ways.
So
but
great.
yeah, everyone should go visit their island and get sassed by their villagers, because it's always good to see how they suggest your time has been spent since you've been away. So
I might boot it up over the weekend because I'm going to have a very relaxed sort of cruisy casual weekend, and I've got to firstly find my Switch. I keep losing it in the house somewhere. And so I'll find that. It's probably in that deep, permanent pseudo sleep where you need to sort of hard restart the battery to get it on again. So I'll get that done. I'll jump in. I'll check out my island. It's probably going to be all on fire. It's going to be very, very downtrodden and destroyed and full of weeds, I'd imagine. And all of my fellow island residents will be very upset with me, I think. I'll be getting sassed left, right, and center.
You'll probably have this find this little grave with your name on it. It's like, we just thought you died, like.
It's either that or they've sacrificed me. There'll be a straw version of myself nailed to a cross that's on fire somewhere on the island. It's gonna be pretty hectic.
Situation.
Yeah, Tom Nook's in there overthrowing the island power shift to suit his needs as he likes to do. But yeah, I'll see. I'll report back. I think I'm out of debt. I think I paid off all my loans.
Oh, you did? You paid off your loans?
I think. But I'll probably get back, and I probably found I owed a few dollars, and the interest rates have just turned that up to 10 million again because Nook's a crook. But yeah, I'll report back. I'll see what's happening on my island over the weekend and see what kind of state of disarray it's in. But yeah, I'm very curious. I can't even remember half of my villages, to be honest. I know I didn't have a uniformed animal race. It was a mishmash of various creatures and characters, but we'll see who's still there, waiting very impatiently for me by the airport.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh yeah, and listeners, you can also check out all our stuff over at videogamesandculture.com. That is the hub for all things THG and 8-bit. If you want to win some stuff, just chuck a /win on the back of that URL. So videogamesandculture.com to go in the draw for our latest competition, winning a assortment of swag from our friends over at Audio Technica, as well as from us here at 8-bit / The Hungry Gamers. Be sure to check out all the podcasts over there. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe. Said podcasts over there, as well as all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular, because those ratings and reviews help keep those emotional lights on in our hearts. You can also buy our merchandise over at shop8bit.net. And if you wanted to get yourself a monthly subscription from our friends over at japancrate.com, use code 8bit15 at checkout to get yourself a discount, as well as free shipping on an assortment of snacks and knickknacks. But Miss Hart, let's jump into some news, shall we?
This week's news headlines.
Presented by Audio Technica.
First bit of news. The unannounced Mortal Kombat 1 will reportedly get Peacemaker and Homelander as DLC characters. Windows Central reports the 2 characters are part of the Mortal Kombat 1 character pass. Peacemaker is obviously a DC Comics anti-hero that's been made mainstream by his appearance in James Gunn's 2021 Suicide Squad movie, as well as the HBO Peacemaker spin-off TV series. Homelander is from the comic book series The Boys, which was similarly made mainstream as the Amazon TV show of the same name became one of the biggest hits in Streamerland. So the game is yet to be announced. There's been a lot of rumor, a lot of chatter and pseudo confirmation via leakers all over the internet as far as Mortal Kombat 1 being announced any time now. So NetherRealm has teased that it's going to reboot the series instead of going from, Mortal Kombat 12, 13, 14, etc., etc. It's going to go right back and go Mortal Kombat 1. And they're feeling that an announcement will be made sometime in the next month or so, maybe on the back end of Summer Game Fest, whether it be in parallel standalone to that, or maybe it'll be part of an Xbox or Sony showcase over that Summer Game Fest week. But Mortal Kombat 1 is on the way, and Peacemaker and Homelander, two anti-hero / villainous characters, making their way there as part of the roster, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and it makes sense, especially for those two kind of characters to be involved in at least in the Mortal Kombat franchise, because they are pretty hyper violent. So putting them into any kind of fighting game, it would only make sense that it would be Mortal Kombat for some very visceral, graphic kind of violence. It sounds exciting too. I loved how they did a little announcement trailer of the clock starting at the 10 position, moving to 11. So everyone thought they were announcing like a 12, but then it just skipped 12 and went to 1. I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was a great way to kind of troll the audience. So yeah, always excited for a Mortal Kombat game, because they're just only going to put more detail and make it more gory and messed up. Can't wait.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like you said, Miss Hart, both of these characters and the universes they're in, when they've now been translated to live action, they haven't held back on the violence and the gore. Like, there is body parts exploding everywhere. There's blood, guts, and everything else in between, regularly shown throughout the TV series and the film as well, the Suicide Squad movie. So yeah, they'll fit right on in there, and I think they'll play really well. Like, Homelander, played by Anthony Starr. He's, the easiest comp is, he's evil Superman, you could say. Like, he's got those same type of abilities, the laser eyes, the super strength, the flight. So it'll be fun to sort of see how he will weave into a match against various Mortal Kombat stalwarts. But yeah, they can slot right on into this roster and have a great time and rip people to shreds left, right, and center. I'm very curious to see if we have a reducing, like a shrinking character somehow make his way inside of Sub-Zero's penis and then blow him up, like what happens in some boys' lore there. But let's see if we get an exploding dick character happening in Mortal Kombat down the line.
I guess that's a spoiler.
I guess it's I guess that is very much a spoiler. Sorry about that, but yeah, there's some exploding penises going on. There's people that can shrink down and sneak inside your pee hole.
Alrighty.
PP. All right, moving on. We're less than a month away from the start of this year's Summer Game Fest season, and host Jeff Keighley is starting to crank the hype handle, revealing this year's event will feature updates from 40 plus partners, including PlayStation and Xbox. Summer Game Fest officially begins on the 8th of June with a live showcase promising a mix of premieres, gameplay videos, and announcements. But it'll continue on well after that with various other industry events and showcases, including those previously announced by Xbox and Ubisoft, set to fall under the Summer Game Fest banner throughout the season. So June is hyping up. Obviously, E3 is not a thing in that same time period there, but Summer Game Fest and the subsequent flow on with all these other industry-based events has got me very hot under the collar. I'm very excited to see what announcements are made, what new games are unveiled, and also what release dates are announced as far as maybe new games coming out in 2023, because I want to see what's happening at the back end of this year. What's some big juicy titles to get me hyped for?
Yeah, it was an incredible flex by Jeff to say, look at all these people who are working with me to produce some wonderful content for Summer Games Fest. So I thought it was quite a show off to be like, oh, these are people who are willing to work with me. This is what's going to be shown. This is what's on offer. So, and I can't fault any of these teams and studios to kind of work with him. Jeff has proven himself to put on a really great show, and I think he does well with it. Not to mention now that like the people are buying tickets to go to this event, so it seems like it's actually pretty accessible for a lot of people. So I look forward to it. It's always a fun time. I equally like how when things go well, and then I also like it when those little awkward kind of, as the kids say, cringy moments happen as well. You gotta have a little bit of both to have a good time.
Oh yeah. Like Jeff Keighley, he runs a tight ship. He puts on a great event, and yeah, I can admire the subtle smugness as far as, like you said, Ali, the look at how great I am. Look at all these people that want to work with me. Everyone else, cheeky middle finger under the table to them. Like, he's done well for himself. He's fostered and built these relationships with all the main players in the game space, and he's done very, very extensive work in this space to build up his brand. And yeah, Summer Game Fest has become one of the premier events of the gaming calendar. And yeah, the fact that you can attend this in person now, albeit with a paid ticket. I don't know what they're charging per ticket for this type of thing, but
I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the unpredictability of the live event, because things often can and will go south, and let's see what kind of awkward, bizarre moment we're going to be left talking about, whether it be a speech where they throw some kind of various lewd statement in there, or something offensive, or does someone rush the show, and also what is going to be the weird, bizarre live musical event that happens that is also equal parts great and embarrassing. So let's see what happens. We don't have to wait long at all, because it's less than 4 weeks away now. So the 8th of June, this bad boy kicks off, and then we've got a week or so of good things to look forward to after that.
Yeah, like Day of the Devs as well.
Yes.
Little indie showcases and everything else that's attached.
Yeah,
Lots
June. It's not quite Christmas in July, but it's pretty damn close. It's
damn close.
Just here, warms up our cold winter-based hearts here in the southern hemisphere. But that Summer Game Fest, it gets everyone hot under the collar for what's to come, both in the short and the long terms from the game space.
Sure, yeah.
Next bit of news, Epic Games has introduced a creative mode for Fall Guys, allowing players to build their own competitive stages. The mode includes a comprehensive level editor and lets players explore and play levels created by other players. Obviously, don't forget to use code 8BIT when buying from the Epic Store, but this is cool. Like, I felt like this is the next logical step for Fall Guys. This game, obviously, was one of the indie hits of the last few years, as far as coming out of nowhere and just blowing the hell up. Super fun to play. I have not played in a good long while. Doesn't mean that the game's not enjoyable. Like, I love any minute I've had playing Fall Guys is always hysterical when you and I have been running around chasing crowns and things like that. But this certainly piqued my interest as far as being able to make crazy, obscure, absurd levels myself, or just play some of those same levels from, like, maybe you made one, Ali, or someone else we know's made one. Like, I think that's a great little touch by Epic to allow this creative mode in to just further breathe a bit of fresh bit of life into this game.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think having this creative mode is a great way to kind of revitalize the community and bring them back. Just before we started recording, there was a Twitch Rivals event, so for Fall Guys, so I guess that's always a great way to kind of light the fire of the community again. And I've seen a few people work their stuff in creative and seeing what they can do, and it seems like the general consensus is just seeing how much you can screw up people and really make them suffer. So I look forward to seeing some of the creative maps that are out there.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun to watch along and see, because we know that there's gonna be some very creepy, freaky stuff that's going to get made, because when there is the creative freedom there for someone to build something that's a bit unique and obscure, you know damn well they're going to run with that. So we'll sort of, over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, if we see any crazy levels that have been created, we will be sure to share them in the show notes, because the more obscure and quirky and kooky the better, I think, with these types of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the next bit of news, a little bit bittersweet, but Team Cherry has announced that Hollow Knight Silksong has been delayed past the first half of 2023, and that more details will come as the game nears its release date. Over on Twitter, Team Cherry's marketing and publishing lead, Matthew Griffin, said, "We had planned to release in the first half of 2023, but development is still continuing. We're excited by how the game is shaping up, and it's gotten quite big. So we want to take the time to make the game as good as we can." He then continued to say, "Expect more details from us once we get closer to release." So, obviously, Hollow Knight, the original one from Team Cherry, that was originally kickstarted for a low sum. I think they only needed $35,000 to make Hollow Knight back in the day to get it off the ground. it went above that. It became one of the biggest indie hits of the last decade. Everyone is very excited to play Silksong. But yeah, we might have to wait a little longer. I didn't think it was a shot in hell of coming out in the first half. I'm still curious if it even comes out in 2023 altogether. It sounds to me that this might be a next year thing because they were very non-committal as far as it's coming out later this year. We're close. Like they're saying the game's gotten quite big, so we want to take the time to make the game as good as we can. So that take the time sounds to me that we're maybe 12 months out before we get Silksong in our hands.
The thing that's like, I'm trying to remember is that I put this as one of my fantasy game choices.
Like 3 years ago, right? Or something?
3 years ago sounds about right. Well, yeah, like 3 years is probably right about where it would have been a part of it. And I'm like, oh, damn, this game still isn't out. And I think it's fine. If they're saying that this... and their ambitions have gotten bigger and it's developing into something greater and something that they're happy to share, then yeah, take the time, make something good. Everyone that are fans of Hollow Knight, I'm sure, are happy to wait. It's like I've always said, we're not like short on games right now. So, but yeah, I'd be curious to see if it actually makes it in within this year then.
Yeah, I feel this is 2024. And you know what? Like, as we've always been raised, good things come to those who wait. So let's just be patient. Let Team Cherry do what they do because obviously they knocked it out of the park with the original Hollow Knight. All the sort of trailers and things we've seen so far on Silksong look like it's going to be more of the same greatness. So let's just let this thing cook away in the oven and it'll be served up to us when it is good and ready. So the next little bite-sized bit of news here, the upcoming game Starfield has received its ESRB rating, revealing that it will contain drugs, in-game purchases, and suggestive themes, including references to jetpack sex. The game has been given an M for mature 17+ rating due to blood, strong language, suggestive themes, drug use, and violence. The rating summary describes Starfield as an open-world RPG where players take on the role of a miner searching for artifacts across the galaxy. The game will also be including in-game purchases, and Starfield is currently scheduled to be released on September the 6th of 2023, with the Starfield Direct event providing more gameplay and information coming in June in and around Summer Game Fest. So jetpack sex, Miss Hart, that's the first thing that stood out for me. I'm down for some sex in the sky. Like, that sounds like the next iteration of the Mile High Club.
I think it's just more interesting to kind of see exactly like how much of I was going to say how much of an adventure game this is, but like I guess they don't necessarily say, is your character doing it? Is it?
Yeah, do you think you just sort of see
could witness it?
Space
Maybe?
friends having
I
sex
don't
in
know.
the sky?
Maybe,
like you're just walking
who
past
knows?
and you see some jetpack riders thrusting?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious. Drug use. Has Australia cleared it yet?
Not yet, but we'll find out. I guess we need to see. I'm assuming it'll get slapped with an R rating just straight off the back of the drug use. Like zero gravity or jetpack sex is more than fine here in Australia, but second you take any bad drugs, no, game's not allowed to be released here.
It can't be. You can't take drugs and them have a positive effect on
true.
you. They don't. That's usually where games get clocked. Was when drugs are used as like, oh, it's a positive that you want to have drugs. Like, so that's usually when the rating system and the board in Australia kind of slams down on the game. So, I guess once they find out, we'll find out if Australia pushes back. Well, that'd suck if you guys had to get a different kind of game.
I'd be pissed, yeah. But here in Australia, obviously we've talked about the classification board pretty on and off here over the years. And they've got some very archaic and dated views on things when it comes to media, especially when it comes to video games. But drugs, if it gives you a nerf, they're good. But if it buffs you, no. So we'll see. Yeah. But I'm curious about that final review approval here in Australia. Very curious about the jetpack sex, and also very curious about the in-game purchases. Like, is this a pay-for-power type of thing? Is this just so you can get some cool aesthetics? You can buy some things to maybe pimp out your settlement, because no doubt you're going to be terraforming planets and setting up little encampments and things. So maybe you can get various decorations for your little space stations, but very curious to know what in-game purchases is going to translate to.
Yeah. Like maybe it's just gear. Maybe it's just straight up gear.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll have to see. Oof.
But yeah, September the 6th, and we'll get a little bit more of a deeper dive in a month's time in and around Summer Game Fest. So yeah, strap in, fellow space explorers, for that. And yeah, let's get that jetpack sex happening. That will already be all over Pornhub, I am sure. Next little bit of news. The new handheld PC for PC gamers is the title of this bad boy. The Asus ROG Ally. It's funny.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it can go either way, but we're gonna just call it yours. It's your handheld. So the Asus ROG Ally, even though it is Ally, it's Ally here.
Call it Ally. We don't need to be confusing people.
All right, I'll leave that alone then. The Asus ROG Ally, touted as the main rival to the Steam Deck in the handheld gaming PC market, has now unveiled its official price and release date, set to launch on June the 13th for $700 US. On the specifications front, the ROG Ally boasts superior features compared to the Steam Deck, with an AMD Ryzen Z1 processing housing a Zen 4 8-core CPU and RDNA 3 GPU rated at 8.6 teraflops. It becomes the most powerful handheld PC available. The device also offers a high-resolution IPS screen to 1080p with a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz, giving it an edge over the Steam Deck's 1280 by 860 Hz display. So obviously we're talking double frame rates potentially there, as well as higher res. Additionally, the ROG Ally weighs a relatively lighter 608 grams compared to the Steam Deck's 669 grams. Nice. The ROG Ally runs on Windows 11 Home. Notably, purchasing the ROG Ally comes with a 3-month free subscription to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, with the ROG Ally offering the advantage of native Game Pass support. The Steam Deck, which runs on Linux, requires additional adjustments for Game Pass Cloud Gaming. The device also supports various usage options, including connecting to a TV via the ROG Gaming Charger dock, which is sold separately, or using external GPUs for desktop-like performance. With its sleek design, vibrant display, and powerful specifications, it is shaping up to be a good bit of kit. However, it faces some challenges such as a clunky user experience, limited battery life for graphically intensive games, and the absence of the Steam Deck suspend and resume feature. Overall, the ROG Ally presents a compelling alternative to the Steam Deck and promises an enjoyable gaming experience on the go. So I think I'm in on this. I think the part that excites me the most is having native Game Pass support right there in this little handheld device. The fact that I can now just start playing my games on a ROG Ally while I'm laying in bed or traveling or whatever is really incentivizing for me. It's interesting. I'm curious, and I'm going to see how hard it's going to be for me to obtain one here in the AU, because I didn't throw the money down on a Steam Deck, but this, I'm like, okay, maybe you got me Asus. I'm an Asus fan. I've had a ROG gaming laptop over the years, and I think I'm back into the Asus ecosystem here with the ROG Ally.
Yeah, so we've actually already pre-ordered it. Because, it's interesting. It's an interesting bit of kit. It obviously is very powerful. It's got all the little bits that just a little bit better than the Steam Deck. Obviously, the better display. There was a lot of stuff that behind the scenes that they were discussing about its power, that it's cooler, it's lighter. Some people that have had hand-on experience have kind of mentioned that maybe holding it's a bit, for some people, a little bit funny, because I believe the Steam Deck is a bit more thicker, so it kind of has a grip mentality, where this one's a little bit more on the slender side, so it kind of has a bit of a weird hand feel. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that we still don't have an absolute consensus on what the battery life is. A lot of people are throwing around the 2 hours, but I think that hasn't been established. What 2 hours is? That 2 hours playing a game that is localized on the actual device at super resolution, that could be the very, very worst possible outcome. In the showcase where they kind of talked to some of the people that have worked on it, they were saying that there's a lot of modes that you can adjust and change into the device that will help and benefit it, making sure that it will last longer on battery life and then durability and all that sort of stuff. So there has been a few people that kind of gone back saying that the Microsoft Windows interface is still relatively clunky, as opposed to the Steam Deck, where it is essentially just loaded up and it's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
With this one, you'd kind of have to kind of go into a display. But then in saying that, it looks like it's going to give maybe people who are a little bit more on the creative side, a little bit more techie, I guess, they might have options on how to really utilize this portable device. I also like I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was something Armory
Crate SE?
The library, where it will take all games that are installed, like doesn't matter if it's on Steam, doesn't matter if it's on Epic, it is just one localized like center, which then to me makes sense. Like instead of having to go to all these different areas to find your game, just going to one location just sounds like it would be pretty good. Hopefully they've developed it enough that you don't run into many issues. I'm sure that they're bound to happen, but overall it seems like a pretty promising device.
Looks like a good bit of kit. I like the aesthetic. I like the look of it. I like that they've also gone with the Xbox Series S X, just Xbox controller archetype, where they've got the same face buttons. They've got the offset joysticks as well as the D-pad on there. So it's going to feel very much at home for Xbox users of that controller. And yeah, I'm keen as a bean. Like the fact that it's higher res, higher frame rate, so you're going to get the best handheld experience out of this from a direct comparison to Steam with their specifications. Like you mentioned, Ali, it might not always run as smooth because it's on that Windows backend as opposed to Linux, but the fact that you've got all your games in that one space through Armory Crate SE is awesome. Instead of having to jump in and out of Epic or in and out of Steam and jump here or there, it's all going to be there and it'll just boot up and do the heavy lifting in the background to get you into the game in the hopefully least amount of time and less stressful sort of amount of clicks. But yeah, it looks like a good bit of gear. And yeah, I'm down to throw some Johnny Cash at this one and pick that up in June. So yeah, there's two versions. There's a 512 gig Z1 Extreme version, which is that $699 USD price point, or roughly 10,000 or 1,042 Australian dollars. Or there's the 256 gigabyte Z1 base model, which is the $599 version, which is about 893 AUD. But yeah.
That one won't be available until the third quarter, I believe.
Yeah. So that's your Switch Lite equivalent, or not equivalent, but
Yeah,
it's
much,
the Lite version, which is coming later. But yeah, that Extreme version, $1,000. That's still a big chunk of change. Don't get me wrong. That is a lot of bickies that you got to throw towards it. But yeah, I'm in. This thing looks the business. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to give you some hands-on feedback on this in the next month or so. Because as you mentioned, Ali, you already pre-ordered. I am yet to do that. I just got to work out how the hell I get one here in the AU, because I don't think they've got like local pre-orders here for Australia up.
I was
at
going
time
to
of
ask.
recording.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I'm like, have they established a place that you can pre-order, or that would be your point to access it? And I'm assuming it would. I'm trying to think of any other places bar JB Hi-Fi that would be a kind of central point for tech.
Yeah, JB. Otherwise, you got your EB Games. But worst case, maybe I just have to try and pre-order through Best Buy and like drop ship like I do with some other stuff through the States. So we'll see. But yeah, the Asus ROG Ally coming out of the gate strong with some extra crunch. 8.6 teraflops. We love talking about the T-flops here at THG.
Yeah, T-flops.
All right, so moving on to the last bit of news this week. This bit of news has a headline that says, "Save your tears for another game." The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the latest installment in the Zelda franchise for Nintendo, has received highly positive reviews and currently holds a 96 out of 100 aggregate score on Metacritic based on 87 critic reviews at time of recording. So obviously we're recording on Saturday the 13th of May at roughly 9:36 a.m. So at time of recording, 87 critic reviews are currently live. This places Tears of the Kingdom as one of the top 3 games on the Nintendo Switch in terms of Metacritic score, right alongside Super Mario Odyssey, which has a 97, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which also has a 97. The game is praised as a worthy successor to Breath of the Wild and a strong contender for the Game of the Year. It retains the charm and beauty of its predecessor while embracing more traditional Zelda elements. Reviewers highlight the joy of exploring the secrets and wonders of the game world, making it a must-play for Switch owners who are ready to immerse themselves in Hyrule once again. And we've just grabbed a bit of a critical consensus roundup. We've grabbed 5 different reviews here from all across the internet and just given you a couple little bylines as far as their review scores. And looking at it from a local standpoint here, Press Start gave it a 10 out of 10. And they said, so much sets Tears of the Kingdom apart from other Zelda games. It's a rare chance for the series to play with a direct sequel, embracing its changes, building upon them, and offering something newer while continuing what worked. IGN also gave it a 10 out of 10, and they say, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is an unfathomable follow-up, expanding a world that already felt full beyond expectation and raising the bar even higher into the clouds. GameSpot also gave it a 10 out of 10 and said, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a canvas for your own creativity, a book to write your own stories, a world to create your own legends. It gives you back as much as you put into it and beckons you to soar, burrow, engineer, solve, adventure, and explore. And Forbes gave it a 9 out of 10 and said, overall, Tears of the Kingdom is a genuine improvement and evolution over Breath of the Wild. While I still think the Link's Awakening remake has been the best Zelda game on the Switch thus far, Tears of the Kingdom comes very close to that. The story is also a lot more poignant than many of the other games in the series, and consequently, Tears of the Kingdom feels a lot more considered. But not everyone is as enamored with Tears of the Kingdom. Gfinity's Josh Brown gave the game a 6 out of 10 in his review, which is currently the lowest score for Tears of the Kingdom. The next highest score is 80, or 4 stars. Brown's perspective is that for long-running Zelda fans displeased with the shift made by Breath of the Wild, or folks who didn't get in on the 2017 title, Tears of the Kingdom is unlikely to change their minds. And he says, for the most part, it's the exact same biodiverse world you explored all those years ago, only with more natural caves, a sprawling underground chasm, and frankly, too many rock formations in the sky to really care about. New tales are spun throughout it, yet each one has a disappointing air of familiarity. Breath of the Wild's fiddly controls are pushed further to the breaking point, all in an effort to stack more systems on top of those that split the fanbase almost as much as Toon Link. Brown then concluded, if the original open-world adventure left you feeling a little deflated, Tears of the Kingdom is unlikely to convince you that this is the best way forward for the franchise. So that one review score, that 6 out of 10, or 60 out of 100 if we're scaling it to that Metacritic value, we wouldn't say it tanked the overall score, but when everyone else is giving it 10s and 9s, it's knocked it down to a lowly 96, which I said it was going to be higher than the Breath of the Wild 97. I said 98, so I am out of the running. But I believe you said 95, Miss Hart.
Yeah.
So Price is Right rules means you win.
Ding, 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 ding. Woo.
But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom getting reviewed very, very, very well, almost unanimously. Hearing these little lines and these sort of captions from the various outlets, has it sort of piqued your interest a little bit more? Are you going to be jumping into Tears of the Kingdom based off this hype and all this positivity that's around the internet right now?
No, because I kind of think I'm probably with Josh Brown, where I played Breath of the Wild, and while I did enjoy adventuring and exploring, I never really felt captivated to follow whatever the story was and what was ever happening with that. So, yeah, no, I have absolutely no interest in playing this kind of game. But I'm glad everyone that has been waiting for it, anticipating for it, it was everything that they wanted and everything that they hoped for. But I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and cheer you on, from a distance, because just even from what I've seen, nothing has made me go, you know what, maybe I should play this. No, it just, I'm okay.
I'm okay too. I will buy it and play a little bit of it. A little bit of Tears of the Kingdom this week, just to dip a toe, get a feel, see if there is something that hooks me. But I'm completely with you. Like Breath of the Wild, I enjoyed my time with it, but it didn't grab me the way it grabbed most of the other gaming populace.
The rest of the world, yeah.
So maybe I am somewhere between Forbes' 9 out of 10 and Josh Brown's 6 out of 10 here ultimately, as far as what this game's going to give me from a playing standpoint. But I'll give it a go because the Twitter feed is just full of praise and absurdity as far as the fusibility and combining random items together to create new weapons and shields and stuff. So I think you can really have fun with that freedom and be very creative in all kinds of weird and kooky ways, which could be an interesting way to kill a bit of time. But like you said as well, the story hasn't really typically hooked me over the years with Zelda, and it Definitely did not with Breath of the Wild, but maybe with Tears of the Kingdom, it might finally grab me. But yeah, we'll see. I'll report back over the coming weeks because I will pick up a copy and give it a spin and see if I can get caught up in the hype and hysteria that is Tears of the Kingdom, or if I'm going to end up hanging out with Josh Brown at Gfinity and be a hater, as the internet like to call them.
Yeah. I mean, this for all the praises and wonderfulness that's going around talking about this game, there obviously are a lot of outliers that are probably not as thrilled and have had some opinions based on a contrast in new release titles from other consoles and the expectations on frame rates and everything that they're held under to say that Nintendo can still bring out the, what is it? And is it 30?
30 frames capped, yeah. But
yeah,
I've seen a lot of chatter on the internet where there is some very graphically intensive battles and things where that frame rate can dip to low 20s.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that have very strong opinions on why different consoles are held to certain regards than just because Nintendo can kind of thing. So that's been a very curious thing to kind of keep an eye on too. So
yeah, it's funny. Like we were sort of talking down Redfall the other day about it was coming out capped at 30. There's no 60 or 120 FPS performance mode at launch. Where Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, etc., they are free of criticism like that because it's like, oh, it's Nintendo. They're just cute and whimsical. They could do no wrong. It's different strokes.
To be fair, though, Redfall unfortunately had a lot of issues attached to it that gave it its negative light.
Ooh, yeah.
But if just talking about one specific area, I can see where people are kind of saying, well, why is one okay to do and not the other? You know, just because they're locked at whatever they're locked at. Is it just a Nintendo Switch thing that they can only do 30?
Yeah, I think this game is probably squeezing every ounce of processing power out of those little Switch devices. And it's interesting too because there's been some quotes the last week or so as well from figureheads at Nintendo saying that there's not a new Switch on the way. That next,
that's right.
That next version is probably going to be somewhere in 2024, as opposed to people strongly hinting at that we'd get a new Switch this coming holiday season, but is that not meant to be now, apparently?
But, I mean, just to tell us that it could possibly just be a year later is still relatively close than not, either way.
Either way. But, yeah, the world is loving Tears of the Kingdom. And, yeah, 96 out of 100 is a phenomenal score. But, yeah, that Gfinity 6 out of 10 has tanked it a little bit, I guess. I'm not been able to do the quick maths to see if, say, that was an 8 out of 10. What would that buoy the overall score up to? But, 96. And an early front runner for many a person's game of the year in 2023, I dare imagine. Just not Josh Brown or myself or Ali, potentially. So, yeah. But that's the news. Let's jump on in over to this.
Tweet of the week.
This tweet comes via way of @EA_Australia. See, this is the EA Games Australia official Twitter handle. And the tweet reads, to our ANZ fam, after many years of tweets and fun, the EA ANZ Twitter will be saying goodbye soon. But don't fret, you can get all your EA-related news and announcements via our global account @EA. We've loved being your ANZ voice, but it's time to log off for good. Heart. So this is upsetting. It's always sad to see people in the industry closing up shop, especially some of these developers or publishers that we've been fortunate enough to build relationships with over the years. So, Charlotte and Steph over there have been really phenomenal with us and they're just lovely human beings. So hopefully their work will continue on with EA in other capacities. But it sucks losing these local voices for global publishers and developers because it's a great sort of touch point for everybody here in Australia, and we get marketing and updates that are related to our industry specifically here for ANZ as opposed to just a broad brush announcement from the global account that might be a little less relevant. But we love you all over at EA Games. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I think it's just sometimes when we're being across the pond from all the big guns of America, having something to kind of bring us all together as a local community in Australia and New Zealand, like kind of, it was good. It was a way to kind of put together just like a little community, reach out to us, reference to us. Like not everything was always the same, and marketing towards a global market or marketing towards the American market is very, very different to what that can be done to us in the Australian New Zealand market. So it is sad that the actual account has seemed to be made obsolete for whatever reason they chose. I think it's a misstep, because I think it just does so much for a brand and a company just to have a representation within a community in the country. So yeah, it's a shame, and appreciate everything that the team did to develop that, and hope they get to move on to better things.
Completely agree. Like it's going to suck having that sort of local touch point or that local unique voice for the region here in ANZ,
Exactly.
instead of just getting now this broader EA corporate speak from the United States or wherever it's going to be ultimately trickling out from. So I'm sure the global account and the team behind that will do great and provide those EA related news and announcements in regular and good quality. But yeah, it sucks to lose that local feel, that local vibe. The Marbo, the vibe, if we're gonna
It's just the vibe.
Yeah, Daryl Kerrigan his heart would be breaking if he was actually a real character right now, because the vibe is not going to be the same here from EA. So yeah, I hope everyone behind the scenes is okay and it doesn't lead to any people being retrenched or potentially let go. So we're gonna miss you over there at EA Australia. Something that we don't have to wait too long if we're missing it currently is new content coming out your way though.
New releases and events.
As far as new things coming out between the 15th of May onwards for the next week after that, we got you covered. We got a new podcast making its way on the More Than Hentai and Anime Appreciation podcast RSS feed, where we're going to be tackling Blue Lock, and I've been joined by anime stalwart, anime knowledgeable aficionado known as Anthony. And Blue Lock, for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, is an anime based on football or soccer for anyone in the local regions. And it's a very, very interesting concept. It's got some sort of Hunger Games-y vibes to it. It's a very different sports anime. It's really, really cool, very well animated, and it's one of the biggest anime hits of the last 12 months. So we're going to deep dive on that one. It was a ton of fun talking to Anthony because, he knows his anime just about more than anyone I know. And Blue Lock is great. If you wanted to see some stuff coming to the streamers or the big screen, don't worry, got you covered there too, because on the small screen, still a Michael J. Fox movie making its way to Apple TV. And on the big screen, Fast X is coming out. Vin Diesel versus Jason Momoa. And all the other cast of characters with your John Cena's, your Charlize Theron's, your Ludacris. Insert all these other names here and there.
Santa, the Easter Bunny. Yeah,
Sonic the Hedgehog, maybe, because he got to go fast. So why is there not a crossover there with Fast X? But we've got yet another Fast movie. I saw earlier this morning scrolling Twitter that Vin Diesel said a quote about, the last Fast movie might be a fucking trilogy ending 3-parter. And it's just like, my God, how fast you got to go here, Vin? Like, ugh.
I just stop watching these movies, and other movies can be funded.
Mm-hmm. But this movie will make a lot of money, as the last few have. Like, it is still a global phenomenon, and I'm happy for everyone that is involved. Like, it's great to see people have success. But yeah, these movies they're just not good. And how can you make so many films about car-based hijinks continually? Like, it's getting insane.
It's the memes. It's the people that go and watch it. Like, I don't know. I'm just being sour grapes. I never like these movies. I like the first one. The first one was very good to me. I liked watching the first one a lot, but I like
the first few. I enjoyed Tokyo Drift.
I didn't see Tokyo Drift, so I'm going to eventually give that one a chance because everyone says that was a good one. So
yeah,
I'll give that a chance.
It's great.
Just new ones.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last maybe 4 or 5, I reckon. And I don't have any real interest in watching them either.
I think I watched I don't think I've seen the last maybe 2. There was one where they drove through the buildings, I think in Dubai, from one building to another and stuff like that. And just, I was questioning my judgment.
It's so dumb.
I think Ronda Rousey was in that one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's so dumb, but they keep getting made. People keep turning up in droves, buying tickets, and they'll continue to keep getting made. But yeah, the fact that the finale is going to be a 3-parter, like, it's, my God.
They watched too much Attack on Titan.
Oh, don't get me started about that. But yeah, Fast X coming out this week to the cinemas. No doubt it's going to make a ton of cash. And any Fast fans out there, have a great time. But I will not be there at the cinemas checking this one out. Games coming out this week as well. We've got Humanity coming out on May 16th, which is on the PlayStation, as well as PSVR, PSVR 2 and PC. Firmament coming out on PC and Mac, and then Lego 2K Drive coming out on all of the consoles as well. So that's the Lego sort of customizable kart racer option, where you can build out your own little Lego beasts and fang around the tracks.
Classic.
Looks fun, but Miss Hart, that brings us to the end. THG 326. Anything else you wanted to mention? Shout out before we close this sucker down.
Speaking of Drive, I'm just going to give this little disclaimer here. If maybe someone knows what to do, because I'm running out of options. I tried to load up Forza on my PC, where I originally played it through Game Pass, and my game file isn't there. It started me from the start again. So I'm like, I'm really nervous. I had a lot of shitty cars that I wanted to keep. So I'm trying to figure that out. So if anyone's had that issue and maybe resolved it, let me know. But I loaded it up on the Xbox again, hoping that maybe it will do like a cloud kind of refresh kind of thing, and it didn't work.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, sad face. Because like I had the need for speed apparently. I wanted to get back in there and I couldn't.
No cars for you.
No cars for me.
That's it. We've both copped that in the last few weeks. I lost my Sony save with all my data on Horizon. You've lost your Forza save on Xbox. So
yeah, my Sonic car.
yeah, they're coming at us from every direction. Maybe hackers. Maybe hackers got into our systems and took our data. I don't know, but it's annoying, and I hope your save gets found and you can reload it, because I am still very salty and very sad about it, and I don't want you in that same boat, because it's not a good place to be.
Harsh times, yeah.
But a great place to be, listeners, is obviously over at videogamesandculture.com. Head on over there and chuck that /win to get your entries in. But yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode of THG. Thanks as always for stopping on by. But it's time for us to close this sucker down for another week. So we'll see you next time, listeners. But until then, much love.
And stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.